welcome to week 24 of your Get Kids Internet Safe coaching video. Today we're going to be covering some kind of complex concepts regarding cybersecurity and privacy. So if you have any problems understanding some of these terms, go ahead and pause and let your parents explain them to you. And I also included a lot of extra information in your downloads, including our cybersecurity supplement that you're going to add to your connected family screen agreement. So here we go. Cybersecurity and privacy. Privacy means you keeping your information to yourself instead of other people knowing a lot about you. For example, when you're online on a website, it's not unusual for the company that put up that website to collect information about you so that they can target certain advertisements at you. And it's not just corporations that track your information and your behavior online. So does the government, and so do what we call bad actors, which are people online that are intent on stealing things or doing harm to you or your data. So this is why keeping things private is really important. I mean, you wouldn't think that telling somebody what school you went to or what your address is would be a big deal. But if it's a bad guy that wants to locate you, then that can be a bad thing. So that's why keeping your privacy online and not sharing personal information about yourself is important. But there's also ways to keep your computer data private because, you know, we do so much online. A lot of our very private records are stored online and our behaviors are demonstrated online. So we need to protect that. And that's what we call cybersecurity. So people who hack into your information, meaning that they find some sneaky backdoor without you knowing and get your data, we call them hackers. Of course, there's white hat hackers and there's black hat hackers. And, you know, kids, you can probably tell your parents more about that than your parents even know. White hat is supposedly hacking for good reasons, and black hat hackers are hacking for bad reasons. But the point is that you need to be aware that people might be trying to invade your cybersecurity, and I'm going to give you some ways of doing that. So one thing that people might try to do is install what we call malware, which is malicious software, onto your computer through viruses, adware, or spyware. And that means that you don't want to visit websites you're unfamiliar with because it can automatically download this kind of adware, virus, and spyware onto your computer. The way you'll know that has happened, well, sometimes you won't ever know that's happened. It might run in the background and collect your information without you knowing. But viruses can shut down your computer or damage it, so it can't work anymore. Adware, you'll see ads come up without, you know, out of the blue without you trying to access it. And spyware refers to a program that runs in the background and collects information about your keystrokes on your computer, meaning what you type on your keyboard, and your behavior. Now, phishing refers to, you know, like phishing, trolling you in, and phishing means trying to fish information out of you, maybe through a website or a quiz. Sometimes they'll send a link that they say is to your bank or somewhere else that you trust, but it's really a link for them to download information or to ask information of you, like asking for your username and password. And then once they get that information, they go to the real site and steal your data. Scamming is lying to you, like saying, hey, you want a bunch of money. All you have to do is send your, you know, your username and password or your phone number or your address. Or maybe they'll say, you know, well, we have to have your routing number so we can put that money into the bank, directly into your bank, you know, your prize winnings directly into your bank, when they actually use your bank numbers to steal money out of your account. So those are the basic terms of cybersecurity, and now you know. So how do you improve your cybersecurity? Well, for home security, physical security, you probably should have a locking mailbox because people do steal mail, and then they can sign up for loans and things with your information. You should have a safe in your home and a shredder to shred documents that have account numbers and passwords and private information. You want to install screensavers on your computer, firewalls, antivirus and encryption software, and secure passwords. So I'm not going to go over all of those things for you because your parents will be doing that. But parents, make sure that you look into privacy and cybersecurity, and so that your information is protected. Encryption means that it's put into code. So once it leaves your computer, it's in a code that other people can't intercept and read. That's encryption. So if that's what they mean by having like a HIPAA compliant email or an encrypted email, meaning that the data is protected. And make sure that you consistently install updates and change your passwords, because usually those updates are patches to security breaches. So they find out that there's some mistake in their code and they patch it up so that bad actors can't get to stuff. And make sure not to click links or open attachments in your emails or on websites from unknown sources. Go directly to the account's website instead. So if I get an email from Wells Fargo that says, hey, you have an overdraft, so enter in your checking account number so that we can fix it. Instead of doing it directly through that email, I'll go get off and go through the bank's dashboard directly. So I'm sure that it's from who it says it's from. Also, don't share personal information by posting or with images. Like, you don't want your school, or your church's, or your city's name on your clothing when you take pictures. Geotagging, make sure that your geotagging is off when you take pictures, which means says where that picture was taken. And don't take online quizzes. Set up your parental controls, which luckily you've already done. And I also recommend that you attach a fraud alert or a credit freeze on your child's social security number by contacting one of the 3 major credit card companies, Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian, because kids are targeted for identity theft. And I have a perfect article all about that on the GKIS blog. Just search identity theft and you can read all about it. Now, if you're traveling, it's important that you don't post revealing photos like travel information, boarding passes, passports, or travel or hotel vouchers, including barcodes. You don't want people being able to track that you're away from home because they might burglarize your home, or they might target you for all kinds of crazy fraudulent schemes, like saying that they've kidnapped a family member and you need to send money because you're not home to check it out. Or they might know you're traveling and send a virtual kidnapping scam to a family member saying where you're traveling, that you're being held ransom and they're demanding a ransom for you. There's all kinds of terrible behaviors like that. So make sure not to post revealing travel information. And it's best, so just wait until you're home to post those travels if you really want to share your travel photos. Now, finally, if you are traveling, hackers can access private information with attack and interception techniques. So a man-in-the-middle attack is when you're in a public place with Wi-Fi. They can have a router device on their person posing as that business's Wi-Fi. And so you sign up thinking like you're at Starbucks and you think it's a Starbucks Wi-Fi, but it's really a man in the middle who has their own Wi-Fi, and you go onto theirs and then they steal all your information off your mobile device. Sidejacking is a capture tool at the Ethernet frame level. You don't really need to know the details of that. And shoulder surfing, people can just read over your shoulder what you're doing, especially on airplanes. So make sure that when you're traveling that you're very aware of these attack and interception techniques. And generally, it's a good idea to avoid public Wi-Fi. Also, if your child's traveling with you, turn off their location settings so criminals can't intercept your location data and use it for targeted attacks. And if your child's independent, like if they're teenagers and they're on a walkabout, then of course you want to leave those location services on so you can track them for safety. Now, if you have to use public Wi-Fi, practice situational awareness. Pay attention to who's around you and if anybody's paying extra close attention, and go up to the staff at that public facility and verify that it's their Wi-Fi and their password. Avoid online tasks that involve private information if you're using public Wi-Fi, just in case. So you don't want to do online banking or use private transaction information like your date of birth, credit card numbers, or tax ID or social security numbers if you're using public Wi-Fi, just in case it gets fraudulently intercepted. And finally, always log out when you're using a hotspot to avoid the hacker continuing the session, and consider setting up a secure virtual private network, a VPN, to encrypt inbound and outbound data. And if you have to use a public computer, be aware that software could be silently running in the background, capturing data from your online activities. So luckily we have mobile devices and we don't often have to use other public computers. But if you do, don't do anything private on that public computer. Okay, so for your family exercise, you know what? I couldn't come up with a cool, fun exercise. So today is free choice. Do whatever you guys want to do as a family to connect and to share information. Take a walk, go to the park, have a game night, go out to dinner, build a fort, have a movie night. And along the way, talk about cybersecurity issues and situational awareness so that as a family, you can learn those really good habits. All right, so thank you very much. This is Dr. Tracy Bennett from Get Kids Internet Safe. I'll see you next week.